Hi, fellow traders. What's happening? I hope you guys had a great day today. Well, my day started a little bit late, started at lunchtime today. I had a board meeting this morning, but I had time to come in, build my watch list, let you guys know the stocks that I would be watching today when I got back. I don't dump my watch list after the open. Oftentimes, these stocks provide moves throughout the day. Now, yeah, the morning moves are usually bigger, and we tend to make more money in the morning. But these moves in the afternoon, if you're still in the trade, if you're riding the trend, they always tend to add to it. And it just makes the day feel a whole lot better. But there is opportunity to get in these trades after you just don't make as much money, but you do grow your account. You do develop that much needed screen time. And it does a lot for your confidence and setting you up for the next day. So that was kind of my focus, what was going to be my focus when I came back. But had a decent day, not the day I envisioned. And you'll see, we jumped on Roku. It didn't work out, and it kind of shook me up and shook me out. But we found one stock that was reporting earnings today that had volume. It was a higher price stock. I can only go in small share size, but that's all it needs sometimes. You don't need a whole lot of size to make money in some of these things. And really, I think the risk is too great. But we'll take a look at all that here in a minute. But the question of the day is this: are you willing to stand up to yourself? I know you can stand up for yourself. You fight the market every day, especially when you shouldn't be fighting the market. You'll fight your platform. You'll fight your computer. You'll fight your internet. And hell, some of you guys even fight me every day. But the real battle that you should be fighting every day is the one within you. You need to stand up to you. You need to stand up to that person that you see every day in the mirror. Because instead of fighting everything else, you guys need to be ready and willing and able to fight those bad habits that you have. If you have a problem of being lazy and not following through and not putting in the time outside of trading hours that you need to put in, that's the fight that you need to have. If you put things off, if you're having trouble executing at a high level, you're not sticking to your trade plans, these are the fights that you need to have every day, and not look at some other place to place blame, because that's not going to help you. So the person in the mirror is a person you need to be willing to stand up to. I know, I've been through it. I go through it all the time. I slip just like everybody else. But I have to remind myself, I'm the one that's going to hold myself accountable. In this deal, you're not working for anybody. You're working for yourself. If you don't have the discipline to hold yourself accountable and to look yourself in the mirror and stand up and fight the things within you that need to be, the battles within you that need to be fought, it's going to be hard for you to be successful in this industry. So I was riding to the meeting this morning and was listening to ET, and he was talking about this, and I'm like, man, this relates 100% to our trading and some of the problems that we have as we're growing and we're developing into the trader that we want to be. So wanted to share that with you today and pose this question for you. Are you willing to stand up to yourself? All right, so let's take a look at the day. BA, we're still holding on to that. You can see we had a little bounce day today. I wanted this. we came really close pre-market. I think we came down to 320.20 or 320.20s. I was looking for 320, really a dip below that. And honestly thought I was going to come out of the meeting today and find that I had hit that target. But I came out and found just the opposite. In addition to a bunch of messages from people asking me if I took off BA, if I got out, if I'm out. No, this is not a day trade. And, some people shorted this for some odd reason. It's nothing I teach. You didn't use any strategy or any methodology that I teach to short BA today. But just because I'm short swing in a short swing doesn't mean you go and short in a day trade. That's why I don't give alerts. That's why I teach you how to make these decisions for yourself. But there's nothing I taught about going short today, BA. Now I'm holding it. I've got my targets laid out. The last 2 days. In the morning, I shared them with you and told you why. This first target, this is the level here that I'm looking for it to hit. I was wanting it, if it was going to bounce, I assumed it would bounce off of this. It came really, really close. But it happened pre-market before I got back home. And when I got home and I fired up the computer and stuff to log into the chat room, the move had already happened. So I'm just waiting to see if this is going to reject here. This was just a relief day, and then we start to come down some more. But if it recovers and it starts to push, I'm going to go ahead and take it off, lock in that profit because it's a pretty decent profit, and potentially reset because I still think this is coming sub 300. It may not happen before the end of the year. Some of these investment banks need to hold this up because they can't take a hit. And again, this is pure speculation on my part. It's my speculation that there's some big money trapped in this. People were betting and holding out hope on Boeing. I think there's some big money trapped in this. But the thing is, we never really know for sure why something is. That's one thing we can just speculate. But unless we're sitting next to the person moving the market, we won't know. And we just have to speculate. A stock can tank on bad news, and we could assume that it tanked on this bad news. There may be something behind it that we have no clue about. But because this is what we saw, we just attach our reasoning to that as to why the stock moved. But we don't know for sure. We only speculate. So I want to make that clear. I'm only speculating that big money is caught in this. It's just the way I saw this respond the last couple of days as it's trying to sell off kind of led me to believe that. So we're going to hold on to it, and we're looking for it to get to 300, even sub 300. So that's my thought, my theory, whatever you want to call it behind that. So like I said, I got in at 1, and I was watching Roku. And what I saw here was this thing grinding up. And then finally, it started to show a little bit of weakness. Now, granted, this did not break the 5-minute opening range low. We just had a little pullback here. So I needed to wait until this thing showed some significant weakness. And then I would be comfortable getting in. And that's what we did. And I talked with some of you guys about just waiting for this thing to come back. So we sold below this level. This candle opened, and it started to reject. Yeah, I was a couple cents late clicking this. I think I was looking or talking to somebody else, but I got in because this had a nice window down, so missing it by a couple of cents wasn't too big of a deal. But it started good. This made a lower low, and then it ripped up, and it rejected here again. So I felt pretty good. I was like, okay, well, here's a real rejection. I'm in close enough where I could retest it, and it pulled down, made a higher low, and then ripped up. And so I did wait to see if this was going to be a shake and bake, but it really wasn't. I mean, it didn't really pull back through until, well, it hasn't pulled back through at all. It's still kind of garbage now. Still trading sideways up here. But once it proved to me that the trend is being broken, then, I mean, it proved to me right here. But I hung on to make sure that we weren't going to go back anymore, and we weren't. So I got out of it. Took a little loss on this. I think it was about $170 or so that I went red on this. But I would take this again tomorrow if I saw it. I thought I was really patient, waited for it to start to break down, and I felt once it broke through this, we had it down. The next level was like 127. So I know it wasn't going to get there, but I felt we would at least get to around 133, 132.50, somewhere in there. But it just didn't make it. So I ended up taking it off right before the close. Excuse me. So when I was talking earlier in chat about FDX and this being the only stock that had volume on earnings, that reported earnings this afternoon that had volume. But I could not trade this. I could only trade it with 50 shares. Now, yeah, 50 shares, that's an $8,000 position. I could trade an $80,000 position if I wanted to. But there's no way in hell I'm going to incur that kind of risk on this strategy. This is a very risky strategy. You have to manage your risk 100%, and you have to really be confident and comfortable in what you're doing. So that's why I've always said this isn't a beginner strategy. You have to actually learn how to trade, manage your emotions, manage your executions, and be really consistent in what you do. You have to develop all of these skills before you start ramping up. Start trading pre-market, start trading aftermarket. That's why I've really slowed down on that, because too many people were not listening to me and just blindly following and just kind of messing up. And it's real easy to lose all your money very quickly if you don't really understand. So if you're a member, the class is there. Make sure you go through it and ask me any questions. I paper traded this strategy for a year. Every day I would write down where my entry would be and my exit points and where I thought the stock was going to go. That's all I had to do. And that's all you need to do. You don't need a simulator. You don't need anything. All you need to do is write down where your entry would be and then where your profit targets are going to be and where your stop's going to be. And just do that. You sit there, you watch the price action, you learn, you get a feel for what works, what doesn't. You learn what the market's looking for. And if you're hearing the wrong things, you know not to take the trade or to get out. It's just that simple. But looking at this, and we'll come back to this. All right, here's the earnings right here. Here's my entry right before the close. And what we're looking for is a pattern. I look for a stock to trade a certain way going into the close to confirm the direction I'm anticipating the stock to move. If it doesn't set up, if that pattern does not set up, then I don't take the trade. And that's why you see me a lot of times when we were on earnings hot and heavy, I would send out the earnings list to watch the sheet, but I might not trade any. You know, I may sit there and watch it with you. It's because it did not set up and it didn't give me the signal that I wanted. Now, the trade might have worked. It might have been a very lucrative trade, but the signal wasn't there, so I didn't take it. You got to be disciplined again. If the parameters aren't set, you don't take the trade. If at the open, none of my stocks meet the parameters, I'm not taking the trade. I'll wait. And that's what you got to build. That's the confidence and the consistency and execution that you really have to build. So I anticipated this selling off. The guidance, this space there's a lot of competition in this space. And everything pointed toward weak guidance. Not only did they miss on earnings and revenue, but they had weak guidance. And well, I think they missed on earnings and revenue, but I don't even pay attention to that. The only thing I care about is the guidance. Where do they expect this stock to be 6 months from now? That's what I want to know, because that's where it's going to trade. And you can see it worked out pretty good. You guys, you saw me kind of fight with this. It missed my target here, but you saw me kind of fight with this and end up taking it off a little bit early because, you know, this was, it didn't quite get there. And then we had this supply zone here around the 50 and the 90. These are both the 50 and the 90 day from the daily. And you can see around this zone, there was a lot of support built in. But eventually this thing sold off. This was really crazy. Now these flashes up here were instantaneous. You blink your eyes and you missed it, and it was back down. So there was no stress. Even though these look like really stressful candles, there was practically no stress. I mean, it moved and came back before level 2 even updated. That's just how quick that stuff was. But these levels, where did I get my profit targets from? Obviously, from the daily chart. Now, I know you can't see these two together, but these have converged on each other. So ideally, this was a target. This would have been a good target. So I was looking at taking only 50 shares. I was looking at taking half off here at the 20, which is around 158.88. And then there was another level here. So we had a lot lined up here. So I was looking there first. But this stock washed out so quick that I didn't get a chance to take profit here. But it just kind of bounced around in between these levels. And I almost clicked it because I was like, this is my target anyway, so I might as well click it. But I did ended up taking it down here, and we sold off some more. Didn't quite get to where I wanted to go, but I ended up having to close it out because I had to take my son to his appointments, get his hair cut and all that stuff. He's a pampered guy. I don't know how that happened, but had to do that, and I had to kill it here. But it never did make it to my final target. It may get there tomorrow. We may get some selling tomorrow, but, we'll see how that works. But that was my day. Earnings trade kind of saved the day for me, 269.35. So with the red day yesterday, I think we were red about 150 some dollars. So it puts us green for the week. Not I wasn't here this morning, so yeah, I missed the big opportunity, so to speak. I don't really see where I would have made any money anyway. So missing this morning, I don't think really mattered. But it was just one of those days where, we had to grind a little bit. And grinding out 269.35 was not bad. You see, we lost 167.67 on Roku. And then FDX, 451.78. All on 50 share positions. 50 share position. Not bad at all. Now, I know you said you're thinking, well, what if it went the other way? You could lose. Well, hopefully you would cut this off and you'd only lose half this amount. That if it went the wrong way. That you wouldn't sit there and hold it and watch it continue to go against you, saying that it's going to come back. So, the risk is there. That's why I trade smaller size, because the risk is always there. I don't care what you trade, how you trade, the risk is always there. So you got to be prepared for it and have a plan to deal with it. All right, so that's it for me today. We'll get back at this thing tomorrow and see if we can finish this week strong. So you guys take care, and I'll see you in the morning.